You think being good is enough? That playing fair, being nice, and staying moral will protect you? No, it won't. In the real world, goodness gets exploited. And the people who rise, they know how to wear a smile with a knife behind their back. The world is not fair. It's strategic. It's brutal. And if you don't understand how power really works, your goodness will be your weakness. This video isn't about abandoning your values. It's about waking up. Because in today's world, from politics to corporate boardrooms to social hierarchies, those who appear good often win. Not because they are good, but because they understand how to play both sides of the game. Welcome to the dark side of goodness. The Machiavellian truths no one wants to say out loud, but everyone needs to hear. We love the idea that good people win, that if you're honest, kind, and play fair, life will reward you. But it doesn't. Not always. Not in the real world. In politics, in business, even in personal relationships, morality isn't currency. Power is. And the people who rise, they're not always the nicest. They're the ones who understand the game. That's the myth we've been sold, that goodness is enough. It's not. Because when you walk into a rigged system with clean hands and blind faith, you're not a hero. You're a target. This doesn't mean you have to be ruthless, but it does mean you can't be naive. Goodness without awareness is just bait. And if you don't know how power really works, someone else will use your virtue against you and call it justice. People love to throw around Machiavellian like it means evil genius or cold manipulator. But that's not what Machiavelli was really saying. The Prince isn't a blueprint for villains. It's a survival manual for people trying to lead in a world that plays dirty. Machiavelli didn't create corruption. He just stopped pretending it didn't exist. He looked at power and said, "This is how it actually works. Deal with it." And here's the part most people miss. He never said, "Be cruel." He said, "Know when cruelty is coming so it doesn't crush you." It's not about being heartless. It's about not being helpless. If you want to lead, protect, or build something that lasts, you can't be obsessed with looking good. You need to understand what you're up against. Machiavelli's not teaching evil. He's teaching self-defense. Naive goodness isn't a strength. It's a vulnerability. When you approach the world with the belief that everyone operates with the same moral compass, you're not being virtuous. You're being unprepared. In the real world, especially in competitive or high-stakes environments, this kind of excessive idealism isn't seen as admirable. It's seen as exploitable. People who act purely out of goodness, without understanding how others operate, end up being manipulated, or worse, destroyed. You see, naive goodness is like an open invitation for others to take advantage. It's the kind of goodness that says yes when it should say no, that trusts when it should question, and remains silent when it should speak up. It's the goodness that believes in fairness, even when others are using you to get ahead. In the end, the world doesn't reward your kindness just because it's pure. If you're not careful, your virtues will be used against you, and the very traits you thought would protect you will become the things that drag you down. The lesson is clear. Being good isn't the problem, but being blind about it can be. In today's world, looking moral often matters more than actually being moral. It's not enough to be good. You need to appear good, especially in social hierarchies where perception is everything. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone with less substance but more influence simply because they project an image of virtue? It's not about what they do behind closed doors. It's about what others see. In professional and social settings, morality is often treated like a brand. The right image can open doors, win favor, and shield you from scrutiny. People don't always trust what's underneath the surface, but they believe what they see. In a world where appearances shape power dynamics, the projection of goodness becomes a tool, sometimes more powerful than goodness itself. It's why leaders, influencers, and even politicians are trained to maintain an image of moral superiority, even if their actions tell a different story. So, while true virtue still matters, remember this: in the real world, looking moral often carries more weight than being moral. And for those who know how to play the game, that's an advantage. Machiavelli used the analogy of the fox and the lion for a reason. He knew that leadership isn't about choosing one trait over the other. It's about knowing when to embody both. The lion represents strength, force, and direct action. The fox, cunning, strategy, and subtle manipulation. In today's world, you can't afford to only be one or the other. If you rely solely on force, you'll be perceived as a threat, and sooner or later, someone stronger will take you down. On the flip side, if you're only clever and avoid confrontation, people will see you as weak, someone they can easily outmaneuver. The true power lies in the balance. You need to know when to use the lion's might to crush opposition and when to slip into the fox's skin, making calculated moves and turning situations to your advantage. The cost of ignoring either side is clear. Force without strategy leads to recklessness, and strategy without strength invites exploitation. To lead effectively, you must be both the fox and the lion. Image isn't just something we project, it's a form of power. People manipulate how they're perceived to gain influence, avoid scrutiny, or control the narrative. This is what I call social camouflage, the ability to blend into moral norms and use them to hide your true intentions. Moral posturing, or what some like to call moral theater, is a powerful tool in this game. It's when someone presents themselves as virtuous, compassionate, or selfless, while behind the scenes they're pushing their own agenda. It's not about actual morality, it's about using morality as a shield, as a way to protect their real motives. The problem with moral posturing is that it works. People tend to give those who appear virtuous the benefit of the doubt, assuming their intentions are pure. But when morality becomes a performance, it often hides control, manipulation, and self-interest. In the end, those who are truly in control are often the ones who can master the art of moral camouflage, making others believe they're virtuous while executing their strategy unnoticed. Machiavelli's prince isn't evil. He's not a villain, and he's not a saint. He's something more complicated, a moral. There's a key difference, and it's essential to understanding Machiavelli's real message. A morality isn't about rejecting morality. It's about seeing it as a tool, not a doctrine. The prince is selective, calculating, and controlled. He understands that morality, like any resource, must be used strategically. He doesn't follow ethical rules blindly. He chooses when and how to apply them, based on what will get him the result he needs. He understands the landscape of power and uses what works without being bound by rigid moral codes. Immorality, on the other hand, is the outright rejection of what's good or just. It's about doing harm for harm's sake. The prince is not immoral. He's not cruel for the thrill of cruelty. He's not reckless with his power. Instead, he makes calculated decisions, knowing that sometimes, to maintain control or achieve his goals, actions others would call immoral are necessary. The prince isn't evil. He's pragmatic. He doesn't act from malice, he acts from necessity. Carl Jung's idea of the shadow is brutal but necessary. It's the part of you that holds your darkest impulses, aggression, manipulation, ambition, all the traits you pretend you don't have. The more you deny it, the more it controls you from the dark. Machiavelli's prince doesn't ignore his shadow, he integrates it. He knows his capacity for ruthlessness and doesn't flinch from it. But he doesn't act recklessly, he acts consciously. Jung's point is clear. True virtue doesn't come from pretending to be good. It comes from recognizing your ability to cause harm and choosing not to, with full awareness. The integrated person isn't soft. They're dangerous, but restrained. Not because they lack power, but because they understand it. That's the difference between someone who's harmless and someone who's disciplined. and discipline is the foundation of real power. There's nothing powerful about blind goodness. Passive virtue, being good by default, makes you predictable, easy to manipulate, and weak in high-stakes environments. It's morality without strategy. But when goodness is conscious, when it comes from knowing your capacity for harm and choosing restraint, that's a different kind of force. That person isn't soft. They're dangerous, disciplined, and in control. They could lie, dominate, or exploit, and they choose not to. Not out of fear or habit, but out of clarity. That kind of virtue isn't naive, it's weaponized awareness. The truly dangerous person isn't the one who acts without limits, it's the one who knows their limits and their edge. They don't wear goodness like a costume, they wield it strategically, precisely, deliberately. That's not weakness, that's power, under control. Power today doesn't always wear a crown or sit on a throne. It wears a suit, runs a boardroom, signs legislation, or hides behind algorithms. But make no mistake, Machiavellian logic is alive in modern institutions. Success in today's world isn't just about competence or talent. It's about understanding how influence works behind the scenes. In corporate leadership, it's not the best ideas that rise, it's the ideas backed by the right alliances. In politics, morality is a campaign tool, not a governing principle. Influence flows through networks, timing, and quiet leverage. Real power is rarely visible. It's in who gets heard, who gets silenced, and who decides what truth looks like. Machiavelli was never advocating cruelty. He was exposing reality. Those who refuse to see the hidden structures shaping outcomes stay stuck in idealism, while others move the pieces. If you want to win in the real world, you need to stop looking at appearances and start seeing the architecture of power. Surviving in a ruthless system doesn't mean becoming ruthless yourself. It means knowing how the system works and choosing how to move within it. Integrity isn't about blind purity, it's about conscious action. It's possible to be strategic without selling your soul. Awareness isn't corruption. Understanding manipulation doesn't make you manipulative, it makes you prepared. The danger lies in pretending the game doesn't exist. That's how people get exploited, discarded, or used as pawns in someone else's plan. To navigate power structures with integrity, you need to stop being naive about how influence operates. You don't have to betray your values, you just have to stop assuming everyone else shares them. Learn the rules, study the players, know when to speak and when to hold silence. Integrity with eyes open is far more powerful than blind morality. You can survive the system without becoming it, but only if you're awake, strategic, and relentlessly self-aware. The world isn't divided cleanly between good and evil. It never was. Clinging to black and white morality in a complex world isn't virtue, it's blindness. If you want to lead, if you want to make impact without being consumed, your ethic must evolve. This is what Nietzsche meant by going beyond good and evil, and what Machiavelli hinted at long before. True leadership doesn't reject morality, but it doesn't worship it blindly either. It recognizes that ethical decisions exist in gray space, that survival sometimes means choosing the lesser evil. That power, when unchecked by wisdom, corrupts, but when guided by integrated ethics, creates change. The integrated ethic isn't soft. It's not idealistic. It's grounded, strategic, and deeply aware of human nature. It asks, what's right, what's necessary, what's sustainable? And then it acts, not out of moral vanity, but out of clarity. That's not moral weakness. That's leadership without illusion, and the world needs more of it. You were taught to be good, now learn to be dangerous. Because in a world that rewards the mask, not the man, only those who see through the game get to rewrite the rules. Moral? Yes. Naive? Never again. Play smart, stay sharp, and remember, the most powerful kind of goodness is the kind that could swallow you whole, but doesn't.